In past AI-only battles, we have looked at the info addicts around this time period, and we were able to kind of figure out and predict who were some of the major players in the world. I think we'll be able to do that here.
So let's start with population. So probably with, no surprise here, France is number one with 17 million people living within their empire. Now Poland, on the other hand, that's kind of a surprise because they only have 4 cities, and one of them is the newly conquered Ottoman city. The newly conquered Ottoman city. We have Canada, which probably isn't a shocking factor either. I think Canada has the opportunity to maybe absolutely dominate North America, especially if Polynesia stays off of that continent. Argentina also equally has just almost a fair chance to dominate South America. They have to eliminate Colombia, though, and well, it seems like Colombia actually has the advantage right now in northern South America. Anyways, Russia is in the 5th place, then Korea. It's kind of a big tie at 9 million for about 4 civs for the 4th place spot. Anyways, let's go to crop yields. We have France again, then it's Russia. This is only kind of solidifying my feelings that we might see this ultimate kind of Napoleonic war right here, almost essentially, where France and Russia fight it out. That will be really, really interesting. Too bad winter is not a mechanic in Civ 5, right? Anyways, crop yields. Let's go and check on manufactured goods. Once again, France is leading the campaign. That really says a lot. Those top 3 categories really reveal a lot about nations. Number 2 is Grand Colombia. Then we have Canada, the UK, right here, manufactured goods. That might be a reason why they have such a big military, because they're just able to produce so much from their cities. GNP, France, Persia, Russia. Land area is actually going to Korea, then Canada, then France. Let's go ahead and skip over approval and literacy. Doesn't really matter. Social standing is interesting, but Poland always dominates this because they get an extra social policy. I think it's at every era. I really need to play Poland. It's been a while since I played Poland. Happiness. Right now, England has a lot of happiness. We're still waiting for them to settle Ireland. That's an easy 4th city for them to grab. Technologies, here we go. So France is 2 techs ahead of Korea. I don't think they're going to keep that lead for long. Korea will ultimately, I think, catch up. I think a lot of the world's going to start to catch up to France. I know that we're seeing France at the top of these categories, but if they don't go to war, they're going to have a really tough time. Now, don't get me wrong, they could probably take Rome away from Carthage, and they might be able to take away Spain. Iberia is a really, really tough region to conquer because there is just so much rough terrain in that location. But anyways, technology, that's a big one. Wait a second, did we skip over military manpower? I think we did. I apologize. Okay, so military manpower. France is number 1, then it's Russia. France is about 50,000 more troops over Russia. Then we have Siam, surprisingly enough, in 3rd place. Here's the key component, though, the United Kingdom. Right there. And I apologize. I know I'm kind of interlacing them with Great Britain and United Kingdom. I know that they are not the same thing, and my apologies. So Korea is in 5th place and Persia in 4th place. Poland, here's another kind of key component. Poland in 7th place. So we have like two kind of nations that maybe if they were to work together, United Kingdom and Poland, if they were to work together, they might be able to bring down France. But we will see. Canada in 8th. I'm actually shocked to see Canada so low on this list. Especially, I guess they don't need it. I mean, the USA and America and Mexico, they're already pretty much done. And then in terms of South America, is it close at all between Colombia and Argentina? Not really. We've got Colombia at 137,000, Argentina at 94,000. That's not much of a difference at all. So yeah, it's not drastically, one side isn't drastically overpowered in Latin America. Is that about it? I mean, I guess we could check on tourism, but it really doesn't matter because we will be choosing the victors here. Like I said, I don't know if I've gone over this at all, but I am leaning towards, we might. I don't know. We'll see. Here's the problem with straw polls is that they're very easily manipulated. So, oh my gosh. So everyone's going to war with Polynesia. We'll see if Indonesia or any of the North American civs also join in against Kamehameha. And we also have Persia joining in. Indonesia might be... Indonesia really doesn't have much to go after. They don't have any sort of fleets at all. Spain, there goes Indonesia, so I guess they don't care. I would like to see if maybe Siam or the Champa decide to join in, because those could be key components. Washington really doesn't matter because he doesn't have anything left to go. We're going to see what city is this for Canada? This is their 7th. No, not even. This is going to be like their 10th almost. That's what we should have checked. We should have checked cities. So Canada will for sure be a big sort of a big rivalry to the French power in Europe. That will certainly be going down. Remember though that Canada only has one coastal city as of now. Now if they take over Washington, they'll have two. They're both puppeted. That's the only way France would be able to. One other thing to keep in mind is that Napoleon himself really doesn't have many cities along the Atlantic coast. They have Barcelona, which is puppeted. They might annex eventually, but they don't have anything without going around the North Sea, and the North Sea will be blocked off. Great Britain, I'm sure, will not, and once they do block off the North Sea, just north of Scotland, I don't think the United Kingdom, I should say, will be giving any sort of military access or open borders agreement to Napoleon. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure these two civs more than likely don't like each other. More than likely. It is likely. Morocco going after Carthage with a few crossbowmen. We've got Siam building a wonder. The Ashanti doing really, really well. Very, very happy to see Ashanti doing well. I do think that the powers of North Africa could be tested here. Ashanti could go after a weakened Morocco. And that'd be a very strong. Actually, I mean, that's all they really need to take. If the Ashanti were to be able to take the Moroccan capital, obviously destroying the last city of Mali, and then after that, at that point, you could probably roll over and grab this third city in the northwest corner of Africa. That's a lot of power. That'd be a lot of power, as well as they'd be dipping their hands a little bit, dipping their fingers in southern Iberia. Ashanti, at the power they have, I mean, that could really get them to start to snowball. They could definitely compete with Carthage, maybe going to war ultimately with Carthage. I think it's only a matter of time before Carthage loses Rome, like I mentioned in the beginning part of this video, but we will see. My pick, the Ottomans. I was really, really hoping that we were going to see a strong Ottomans. That would have been very fun. I mean, it's somewhat happening. I mean, they're okay. They obviously did not have any success versus Poland. They might have more success going after Persia. Persia only at 3 or 4 cities, I apologize. And Persia is very, very spread out. And the longer that the Ottomans, or any sort of foe that doesn't like the Persian power here in the Middle East, the longer they wait, the more trouble they're going to have taking them down. Darius he's already has an infrastructure up. When railroads come into play, then, these cities being so spread out won't mean anything. So first, is this the first ideology? I believe it is. No, it can't be the first. But the United Kingdom has chosen autocracy. It actually might be the first, isn't it? I don't know. I have terrible memory. I apologize. We'll double check, but I actually don't think it is. There's no way the UK got the first ideology. It's possible. It's possible. Maybe I shouldn't count them out. Let me check here. Oh my goodness, yeah, no, that is the first ideology. Okay, good for them. By the way, there's only 33 civs left in the game. I don't know if I mentioned that recently, but yes. And this will be one of those series where we'll have a lot more civs by the end of it than the previous AI-only Old Worlds campaign. So bam, United Kingdom kicks it off with autocracy. We'll see if they can hold on and keep that ideology in place in this world. That's going to be a very, very smart strategical move for the United Kingdom, especially for defending their borders here in continental Europe. That could ultimately lead to something, a very smart choice. Now, here's the problem right now for the UK. They do not have the technology that Napoleon does. Napoleon has riflemen. As you can see, we still have Churchill using musketmen. That's bad. That is bad. Oh, keep in mind that now that France has Barcelona, I didn't talk about this before, they can use this as a jumping off point to the New World. They could colonize some islands out here, in the Caribbean, or, there might be some space still left to go around North America, or maybe even Ireland. As you can see, I mean, the French are expressing their interest, I think, for wanting to continue to colonize more lands with this settler out there. I don't know if they have any more. But they could. They definitely could. So they might try to, eventually go after the Caribbean or Ireland or, any other territory that's still open. We'll see. Right now we're dealing with kind of the era of a Polynesian coalition, pretty much. Ooh, we've got Carthage kind of pushing back. So I guess I talked about the possibility of the Ashanti taking over Morocco and Northwest Africa, but technically, if Carthage gets their stuff together, they could do it. If Carthage, well, first of all, you have to keep in mind that most of the military power from Carthage is coming from the Mediterranean. Notice the Champa are piecing out with a few civs. Poland now joining the Polynesian, Poland and Denmark joining the Polynesian coalition. We have Spain and Great Britain piecing out, which is a good thing, because those two nations need to be working together. Spain, Great Britain, and Poland need to be working together right now. Who else? Champa and Ethiopia have pieced out. We have Mongolia and the Champa piecing out. Eastern Asia is also, obviously another region that I've discussed throughout the entire series that, I think ultimately will consolidate one day. It might be at the very end of the game, which, still will be a big move, but whenever the Champa fall or the Vietnamese fall to either Siam or Korea, I mean, that's going to hold a lot of power for those two nations. I don't know if some of the middle desert region is going to be colonized, which I honestly like. I like that I think that it depends. I think there might be some civs that are desperate enough to colonize these very harsh regions of the map, but I personally like it. On Immortal difficulty, you can't put too much. You got to be very careful with the amount of luxuries that you use, especially in Africa. I know that there's some people that are curious why I eliminated some of the luxury. Curious why I eliminated or removed some of the luxuries, especially in Africa, in Asia as well. You don't want these guys to have too much power and snowball. That's the biggest issue with Africa, is they snowball every single time. Alexandria has been founded. So that's something that, Mongolia and Egypt. So that's part of the reason, and I think that's Africa. It's much more stable now. It's much more, I think, equally all across the world. I think everyone has an opportunity. Now, my only fear right now is Canada starting to snowball. It's definitely a possibility. Okay, so India and Egypt have teamed up against Mongolia, so there is sort of a coalition. This would be very interesting to see India take over Tonga here, which, look at this, we have Russia and Korea. Well, I mean, if India takes over Tonga, then they would be kind of the buffer zone between these two great powers. Because I would say Korea and Russia are great powers. We've got kind of the northern hemisphere, I would say, would be Korea. Here in Siberia, we've got Russia in, Russian lands, and then France. I mean, those are three very strong countries in the northern hemisphere, and as well as Canada, but, in the old world, I guess I should say. But if India were to take over these two Mongolian cities, well, I mean, it means that now you have 4 Indian cities that possibly could fall very easily. So here's the problem. Oh, look at this. India has open borders through Korean territory, which is going to help them out a lot. I was going to say, if they don't have open borders through one of these two nations, it's going to be tough to take this over. You don't even kind of want Tonga at this point. I mean, it's either going to go to Korea or Russia. Even if India takes this over, I mean, one of these two civs could easily walk in, and it might be Russia that would declare the war first, because Russia hasn't given up open borders. Usually the AI doesn't like to backstab a civ that they've given open borders to, so I think it's way less likely to see Korea declare on India right now. Even, that's obviously assuming that India is going to take over these final Mongolian cities, but we'll see. Has there been any more wars that have popped up? No more wars that have popped up. Korea has never really faced something like this before, where they have a pretty big threat to their southeast with Siam. But luckily for Korea, Siam's also dealing with their own problems, having a very kind of, a divided, I guess, Eastern Asia. And then, I'm sure they're feeling the threat from India. But these borders are about to close down between Persia and Siam, which means that India will no longer be able to reinforce their northern colonies. Notice that this city here is probably in production of a courthouse. It was annexed, so it's not kept as a puppet, but even a city at 6 population really is going to be able to produce that many more units. So if India loses this part of their military, they're going to have a very tough time defending these cities, especially because I'm expecting Persia or Siam to close down the border at some point. It's going to get more and more difficult. First of all, it's already pretty difficult for India to get up this way because of the, having to move through the Himalayas. It's very tough. Persia and Morocco have peaced out. Has there been anything else that's gone on? I don't see anything. We have Poland and Vietnam peacing out. I'm really interested to see. Ooh. So Richmond has been taken over from Canada, or from Mexico to Canada. America's in a tough spot, and Canada looks like they are going to be a beast. They took down the very aggressive Americans to the south, and at that point, it really helped them. Luckily, a lot of things are in Canada's favor. Right now, you have kind of a non-aggressive Polynesia, a very non-aggressive and maybe even threatened Mexico. They gotta be feeling threatened by Colombia. Cuba really isn't as strong as they probably should be at the moment. So Canada could have a pretty successful campaign. It really depends though what happens to Colombia. Colombia might go crazy and take over all of Latin America. And then we have a pretty big battle, just like in the EU4 AI only series. If you guys are watching that, we are destined for pretty big New World battles. Okay, so Poland versus Denmark and Great Britain versus Denmark. Okay, so that is interesting. So can Poland contribute anything here? It looks like Denmark has open borders through France. So France likes, I'm totally blanking, Heralds, Bluetooth. I don't know, and there's no way Great Britain or Poland, vice versa, have open borders through Napoleon lands. We'll have to keep an eye on Europe. This might lead for some very interesting developments. Oh, good. Great Britain peaced out with, UK had peaced out with Morocco. They were wasting their time. They were absolutely wasting their time. Even if they grabbed the city, that would have been a disaster. Let's also keep in mind Carthage going after Morocco. This could fall. They're trying their best to, use some ships, but that city's too far away, and they've had to attack across the forest. So yeah, Poland could start to send over units through the Baltic Sea. That's definitely a possibility. But I think okay, and bam. So Korea has decided to join in. The thing is, they've got to move fast, or else India's going to take over Tonga first. Maybe they're starting to see the possible fall of Mongolia. I wouldn't be surprised if Russia joins in soon too, but there has not yet been a road built to Mumbai, which would make it pretty difficult to move throughout this rough terrain. But obviously Russia has a big enough military to take over these two cities. It all depends on what happens with Korea and India and how they do on their siege of Tonga. Okay, but anyways, what's going on here? So I saw that the Danish fleet was making an approach for London. Bam. Okay, so multiple frigates have been destroyed. Yeah, most of the units are just moving through French territory. Not only their boats, but also their land units moving north of Troy. So we will see a lot of the British ships, I think, are out in the Atlantic because they were attacking Morocco. So we'll see how they do about that. Oh, and there goes the French city. Bam, right on the corner of Iberia. Again, that's going to be even more power for Napoleon. Spain settling another city in western Iberia as well. So that's a very smart move for Spain, but things are going to get really, really dicey for them since France now controls northern Iberia. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.